Hey everyone, this is Lawrence Watkins, and welcome to another episode of the Lawrence Watkins Show. This is a show that interviews impactful entrepreneurs and investors, so that they can share their insights to help you live a more happy, fulfilled, and hopefully financially free life. So today we're here with Mr. Alvin Cavalier, who goes by the name of Coach Cav. Coach Cav is the founder and CEO of YourSpace LLC. It is a company that provides busy professionals and investors with an opportunity to invest passively in short-term Airbnb rentals without doing any of the work themselves. And today we're going to be talking all about the short-term market and investing with Airbnb, and just to get his insight in terms of where the market may going and how you may be able to get into the market yourself as well. So, Coach Cav, how are you doing today, man?
I'm well, Lawrence. I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, for members of the audience who may not know much about you, can you talk about a little bit about your background and how you got into the Airbnb rental space?
Sure, Lawrence. Well, for me, it's been a journey over the last 11 or 12 years. I myself, I'm active duty military, traveled quite extensively across the world. So naturally, well, within the confines of the military, we tend to fall into real estate and become investors by default because we move so much. So naturally, uh, understanding real estate and investing in real estate became just a natural part of our day-to-day stuff. Um, our turn into short-term rentals came about 5 years ago by hap chance with an investor or a friend who's also an investor in New York City. She introduced me to some short-term rentals that she was doing in New York City and asked simply if I was open to investing in a short-term rental. Um, Took a look at some data. It made sense economically based on what we were doing with traditional long-term rentals, and we went full on into short-term rentals. After that, over the last 4 years, we've invested in over 200 short-term rentals across both the U.S. and Canada, to include a number of unique investments, tiny homes, RVs, that also make up our current portfolio.
No, I mean, I think that's awesome. So, talk about, I guess, your experience with the military and maybe how that has helped you in this particular market, because we have a lot of veterans and active duty military who follow the Black Business School and what we do with the Black Financial Channel. So, talk about like how that transition went for you and how your military experience helps you with what you're doing now.
So the unique thing about what we do in the military, we have this framework from a problem solving standpoint called the military decision making process, or MDMP for those that understand the lingo. Um, that allows us to build a framework around every potential problem. The way that's helped shape what we do now is because we build a framework around every issue that involves this business, and we turn it into a problem that then allows us to seek solutions towards that problem that exists. So just simply from a military background standpoint, transitioning into a short-term rental or just a business standpoint, uh, that framework and understanding some of the unique aspects of it and how to essentially create problems that may not otherwise exist, but it helps you either look at potential roadblocks or look out into the future uh, towards more innovative solutions in what we're doing.
Got you. So, you've been talking about the short-term rental market, and your friend getting you involved with that. So, can you talk about what drew you to the short-term rental market as a way to generate wealth for yourself?
The numbers, just to be quite frank. So at that time, we had six, I want to say, traditional long-term rentals, and again, just moving about in the military over time, accumulating properties, turning those into long-term rentals as we went from one duty station to another. But a quick comparative analysis in terms of some of the numbers that she was producing from a short-term rental side, even though it was a different market contextually, the concept of what was happening drew me in. But she was making or able to show where she was making four times the amount of money that she was paying in rent from a short-term rental. So that then allowed us to look at the current market that we were in, just as a test bed to do a beta test. And from a number standpoint, we started to see some of the same data or potential from some of the same data points that then allowed us to confidently take the leap into short-term rentals.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, real estate's a very numbers driven. I guess any investment is very numbers driven in
Right.
regards to, what's your ROI, what's your cost of capital and all those different types of things. Talk about, I guess, the networking perspective of what it is that you were doing. How did you meet this friend? Like, were they in the military also, or was it just a friend from another facet of your life?
No, so what's funny about this relationship? It was born through Facebook. Inside of a Facebook group, her dad, who was a vet, he served some time ago. He commented on a post about real estate, but he turned that post into what his daughter was doing in the short-term rental space. Uh, I then reached out to him privately and asked him, could he expand a little bit more on the conversation. He then in turn set up a call between me and his daughter. Um, and after that, that relationship grew over the course of a couple months, and then she turned us on to what she was doing in the short-term rental space.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about that a little bit more and get deeper into the short-term rental space. What do you see as the opportunities within the short-term rental space, and how can our audience get involved with those opportunities?
Lawrence, it really depends, right? There are a number of ways to get in from an opportunity standpoint into short-term rentals. On one hand, you've got a number of experts that have courses, webinars, and other services that you can take and start to build out your own Airbnb business. On the other hand, and what we do and provide for investors and busy professionals is an opportunity to invest passively in short-term rentals without doing any of the work. And the way we do that is simply by providing all of the administrative overhead. So you think about everything that's typically required to get started in short-term rentals: obtaining a lease, talking to a homeowner, making sure the property is permitted correctly, what insurance requirements, what utilities are required. We take care of all of the administrative overhead. We're also contracted with 5 professional interior design teams that allow us to design each and every property professionally. And then we provide all of the back-end management services that are required. So you think about the leaky pipe at 2 in the morning, virtual assistants, building out listings across multiple platforms, using property management software, using third-party pricing tools to professionally price. We take care of all of that stuff for investors. So when you package that together, what you really get is a solution that allows investors and busy professionals to invest passively in an Airbnb without taking any more than 1,440 minutes a day.
Interesting. So I want to go deeper into that and what you're doing with that initiative. Is that your space, or is that something else in terms of investing for busy professionals?
It's your space.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone, I'm here with Alvin Cavalier. Alvin, or Coach Cav, as he likes to be called, is the CEO of YourSpace LLC. It is a company that provides busy professionals and investors with an opportunity to invest passively in short-term Airbnb rentals without doing any of the work themselves. So if you like this interview and you like the information that Coach Cav is sharing, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe to this channel and like this video. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate you supporting excellent entrepreneurs who are creating unique opportunities in this type of space, like those like Coach Cav here as well. So, Coach Cav, let's hop right back into it. What type of returns are you getting for, I guess, people who join your network of investors?
So I hate to give the lawyer answer
Oh,
to
that's right.
this, but it depends, right?
Yeah,
If I've gotten an investor in a Savannah, Georgia, versus an investor in a Montgomery, Alabama, two different markets, two different travel demographics, unique cases, their returns are going to be totally different. But on average, because each of our contracts or investments with investors, it's over a 36-month period. We aim to get their principal back within 12 to 15 months. So they've got significant time on the back end to profit off the deal. So on average, for those leases that have expired or have hit their 3-year mark, our investors have seen somewhere between an 80 to 110% ROI on their initial investment.
you said 80 to 100% ROI on their initial investment.
Yes.
Wow, wow. We got to leave with that. Yeah. I think those are extremely excellent returns, and that leads me to the question in regards to like scaling this up. You said you've done 200 of these deals so far.
Yes, over 200 actually, turnkey deals.
And over a 3-year period of time, you said, or how long you been doing the deals?
So the turnkey themselves started about 2 years ago. We did have a number of short-term rentals that we had sort of in-house that we kept before we turned into the turnkey model about 2 years ago.
Got it. So how did you go about scaling up? I mean, 200 deals over a 2-year period of time
Mhm.
is like amazing. I mean, you have to analyze those deals, you have to find those deals, and then you have to actually find the money to invest in those deals, and so on and so forth. So, how did you make that happen? How did you scale to 200 deals in 2 years?
So on the front end, getting into Airbnbs that we kept in our inventory, we simply just use cash on hand to take advantage of getting into a lease agreement, whether it was with an apartment complex or a single family homeowner, furnishing those deals ourselves, and then starting to profit. Or once they started to profit, we started to reinvest those funds. That bled into at least the change in model, which led us into the turnkey deals. In this particular model, because we bring investors in, those costs to furnish and stand up a short-term rental are taken on by the investor. So with our overhead structure in place, it still allows us to invest in these deals initially, bring investors into them, and then still manage them throughout the life cycle of the investment.
Talk about how your framework played a part in the creation of systems and team building, played a part in what you're doing.
uh, through trial and error and failures, right? One thing that we came to learn over time, especially with doing some of these initial short-term rentals ourselves, right? And I can vividly remember going down to Kissimmee to stand up 4 apartments once we were contracted to lease the apartments, and me and 2 other of my friends flew down to Kissimmee over a 4-day weekend that we had off, and we stood up 4 apartments, and we realized that this was no small task, and there had to be a better way to do it. So that led to several whiteboard discussions that revolved around, one, who's properly resourced to do this, right? And then 2, what would it take from a resource standpoint to not only pass this or share the costs or pass the costs on, but then scale it, right? So what was born of that was a turnkey model, because just in any business, we just came to believe that every business in any market will develop or deserves a turnkey solution. So we started down this path to take some of the homes that were already in our inventory and offer them to investors. And what we started to package that with initially was an interior designer through an interior design network to go back out to these properties and propose a refresh. So we were hiring interior designers to do a refresh on a property that was already stood up. So we started to get a little bit more in-depth perspective in terms of what value they bring, and then how do we then resource them to do this at scale if we're doing multiple projects across the country. So that's how that all started to unfold and get us to a point now to where we're doing multiple projects across both the U.S. and Canada at the moment with three or four different interior design teams on the ground leading those efforts.
Cool. No, that's amazing how you're able to bring all those pieces together and put a project and move forward a project like this at scale. So if people want to get involved with what it is that you're doing, how can they get involved?
So we have a turnkey community. Our Facebook group. If you just look for Coach Cav on Facebook, you'll find my little cartoon logo. And then we also have a text-based turnkey community where you can text in the word turnkey to 202-918-5027. That'll pull you into our turnkey community. You'll get a welcome message. Then you'll also get a downloadable PDF file that will show you both current and future investment opportunities. And in there, we don't do any Monday motivational speeches. It's simply getting you investments that you may be interested in and the information you need from a data standpoint to help support your decision. But those come within the text turnkey community also.
Okay, perfect. So before we get out of here, I just have a couple more questions for you. Well, actually, just one. So, how old are you right now? You don't have to give your exact age. You don't, if you don't want, but
42.
You're 42 years old. So, if you can go back in time, what advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
Be better at building relationships and partnerships. And my guiding philosophy now is that success isn't born out of isolation. It is imperative to find teams or build a team that will offset your weaknesses. For example, my primary business partner, he's a very detailed guy. I'm the framework guy. I like to look at things and build a framework around it. And he's a guy that likes to dive into details. But finding that balance within partners and starting to build external relationships has been key because, success doesn't exist in isolation. And anybody that gets too far down that path before realizing that may be overwhelmed with work and tasks that come along with a growing business.
Perfect. So Coach Cav, thank you so much for your time today. One final thing, can you repeat the number? People are asking for the number once again. So can you repeat that for the audience?
Sure. That's going to be 202-918-5027. Text the word turnkey to that number and it'll auto-generate a PDF packet for you.
Okay, perfect. So turnkey, one word, TURNKEY. Is that right?
Yeah, separated or one word, either way.
Oh, both work. All right, perfect. Excellent. So today we've been interviewing Coach Cav, also known as Alvin Cavalier. He is the CEO of YourSpace LLC. It is a company that provides busy professionals and investors with an opportunity to invest passively in short-term Airbnb rentals without doing any of the work themselves. So Coach Cav has talked to you about how to follow him. Please text the number that he provided as well. And also, we'd like to thank our sponsor, the Black Business School, where we don't help you just climb the corporate ladder. We help you build your own as well. So what we do is help African Americans to obtain a culturally relevant yet practical education in all things wealth building at an affordable price. So please head over to theblackbusinessschool.com to learn more. That's theblackbusinessschool.com to learn more. So on behalf of Coach Cav, my name is Lawrence Watkins. Take care. Be blessed.